Meet the Expert, a knowledge-sharing initiative of your knowledge partner, the Developing Bangladesh. We discuss on trade, investment, commerce, education, skills, economic development, global peace and prosperity, etc. issues. If you are interested to these issues, please subscribe to the channel. Developing Bangladesh, your knowledge partner, please subscribe now.
By learning whether the workspace is, what we call, everyone wants to be called these days the best workspace, but how do you create the ecosystem of your work style? That is important. So both of these terms are very critical to sustainable form of not just living, but workspace and education.
Sir, thank you. Thank you very much. You have pointed out another very important area where the teachers should be the motivators, teachers should be the mentors, teachers should be the guide, teachers should be the idol of a student, not the technology, not the fancy videos, not the AI things. So
yeah, that's just like we're watching a movie, Mr. John Hill. So, for a while we were very fascinated by it. Having worked in EdTech and seen the whole process, of course, it's beautifully fascinating. My only question is, I want that the same quality control of academia should come into technology. You cannot just bypass the quality of academia by using fancy technology. So as you rightly said, that has been my area of contention when it comes to EdTech. And working with EdTech, I want that now. I think it's a wake-up call for all of the EdTech companies. They realize that without quality control, without the support of teachers, it is not possible to move forward. That's why 80% of the EdTechs in India are actually going offline or going into hybrid modes. They would have never thought, look at the cycle. They were the ones who created the education technology. Now they're trying to open schools.
Yes, this is number one. Secondly, I would like to draw your attention to your previous discussion that it is not educational background, not the script, the mark sheet, not the certificate who can ensure your intellectual capability. Whether you are capable to use a theory, to use the connotation or the guidance of a theory in your practical life problem solving. When you are a decision maker, you are a manager, you are a CEO, or you are a CFO, you are a COO, you have to know how to solve your daily problem facing by your company, by your department, by your subordinates. So you have to guide them how to solve their daily problems, not what is written in the novel or what is written in the book.
No, absolutely. That's a very valid point from you. I wanted to actually, let me see if I can find that slide. See, there are two kinds of people. One, fixed mindset and growth mindset. I mentioned that to you today, some time back, right? The number one problem that we face with people who are CEOs, CFOs, or CTOs, or CEOs is they lack what we call people skills. And people skills is something that is not taught at all. And we think that people skills is something that is by default inside us. No, it's not. Leadership skill is actually people skill. People skill has verticals into communication, interpersonal. We call it MI, multiple intelligence. Based on our temperaments, we have certain faculties which we are born with, certain we have to learn. But if we don't have people skills as leaders, we will not be able to lead any kind of process, vertical, team, or unit. See, we don't live in the boss mentality world anymore, where a person sitting on a chair will tell you, okay, do this, otherwise, goodbye. Now we are living in the age, if you do that, the person simply leaves. Nobody is interested in toxic work cultures. Most of the people, why do we hear the news all the time about toxic work cultures? Because people have realized it's time to speak against it. The pandemic has shown us how fragile or easily perishable is the human life. Therefore, quality of life versus work life. So people have realized that the balance is important. That's where the leaders come in. So leaders can only be successful if they genuinely have what we call a growth mindset under the umbrella of people skills. And people skills are actually what we call problem solving. So instead of having that mentality that because I have a hierarchy and I am above you, I can tell you what to do and you have to do it no matter what. That never works. That cycle always fails. Rather than working with the person, you're telling the person what to do. Still, because of the manufacturer privatization, slowly this is changing, but it is something that we need. You talked about equitable, right? This is one of the equitable elements. As a leader, you have to work with your team, not always expect results. I'll give you a simple example. If you were in the military and you were the officer and you had, let's say, 20 or 40 people who you were supposed to lead into battle, or 100 people, why would they follow you unless and until you could inspire them first to actually believe that you could win? So I'm not taking this example from a very purest form of view that, military tactics are right. No, I'm just saying that leaders technically have to be the first persons to face the problem and come up with the solution and work with the team. Innovation. Rather than just giving out orders, that system is defunct. It doesn't work anymore. So it is very important to have a growth mindset. Most of the successful entrepreneurs of our, I would say, last 10 years have been people who create a work culture where they're always seen as part of the team. Even if those companies have turned around like Facebook or something, they still work as if they're part of the team. That's how the companies grow. So I think that might cover what you were trying to ask me.
Well, actually, this is another area. You have also rightly pointed out that individualized education program, IEP. Could you please explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. See, IEP is nothing but looking at the strengths, weaknesses, and mapping it according to the child's actual capacity rather than the curriculum. What I mean by that is, you cannot expect the book or whatever you're teaching, lesson plan or whatever, to be absorbed by the 20 or 30 children sitting in your class in the exact same way. Some people use the WAC model, like visual, some learners are visual, some auditory, some are kinesthetic. That's just a very small model. Now it's massive. The point that I'm trying to make is that the teachers have to do the hard work, which is a genuine hard work, which makes the classroom more interesting, in making sure differentiation happens. Differentiation means that if 5 children are exceeding expectations, 5 are, let's say, in an area where they need support on that same topic, you have to approach the class in a different way. And IEP, individualized education program, really works for students with learning needs, because then you can identify. See, I'll give you an example. A lot of children who might be autistic are extremely good in technical, IT, and mathematical skills. So we have to work on that strength. We cannot neglect that. If we work on that strength, you will see that they're excellent with numbers. But if we fail to recognize that, for example, if you have a kid in your class and you're teaching them algebra, but the child is an excellent drummer, what is the point of the child learning algebra for 10 years in mathematics? Because eventually, either the child will rebel and anyways become a future drummer in the world, or might end up in a job where they'll be sad for the next 20 years and then leave the job at the age of 40 and then become a drummer. So it is a job of the educator. See, I always say that educators are more critical than doctors. We go to doctors only when we are in problem. But one word of an educator can make and break a child's life. Because if you are genuinely a passionate educator, children look out towards you as a guide. So if you are a drummer, let that child be a drummer. Along with that, whatever requirements are there for that state or for that country to fulfill, yes, but don't take away that passion and convert it into a skill, rather than killing that passion and forcing mathematics down that child's throat. That's in a nutshell IB. IB means work on the strengths and the skills of the children, convert them into practical outcome-based measures, and make sure that the areas that they're dropping down on, we can give them scaffolding. Scaffolding means we'll have to work with a mix. So that is why I always say teaching and co-teaching is important. You cannot have one person to run a successful classroom anymore, because differentiation can only happen. Differentiation is like how you see a wavelength, right? There is no flat line. Every kid will absorb your content in a different way. So you have to do the homework as a teacher to understand, okay, how do I make sure that my lesson is successful? So lesson planning in itself is an art, which I'm happy to say that at least I'm seeing 10 to 15 to 20% of the teaching population now realizing that. So that's another very important factor, which I wanted to tell. So as I told you, IEP is nothing but you cannot let go of the. If you are a teacher and you don't know what the child is actually good at, then you're not doing your job. That means you're not fit for that job. Just picking up book and teaching the curriculum, conducting an examination and passing the kid, that's not a teacher. You've got to work on the skills. So as you said, skills and sustainability go hand in hand. They're directly proportional to each other.
So in such case, you are suggesting that a student should allow to follow his passion, not the passion of the parents, not the passion of the society.
Yeah. So I'm not against passion of the parents if the passion of the parents is realistic. See, and also passion alone is not enough. Passion has to be converted into an actual skill. That's showed you that if someone is genuinely good at it, has to start as a foundation from an early age. Let's say I genuinely love music. I'll give you my own story. I was always interested in music. So at the age of 6, I was trained on the classic piano. I did my bachelor's in sound engineering, did my master's in music production because I was genuinely interested in music. And I was interested in the sound of, the science of sound, music, you can call it, apart from instrumentation. So my logic was very clear. I wanted to understand something in that particular way. And there are all kinds of kids who want to do different things. But if you only treat them like how you would say a herd mentality, that everyone will learn or will give you the output in the same way, then you cannot do IEPs. And parents' dreams, I have no problem against that. See, if the parents have realized that the child is really good at something, and you to counter that point, you will find so many parents now actually supporting the child's passion, right? And trying to convert it into an actual career pathway. But this is a very micro community of parents which can do that. Majority of them are not aware of it. See, that's where education has another wing. I told you that teaching, training, and counseling and exposing the parents is as important as the child. Because the child is coming to the school, it's our responsibility that the parents actually know where the children stand. Our report cards that we show don't often show these things.
Yes, it's all right that...
Developing Bangladesh, your knowledge partner. We take care of trade and investment, education and skills, economic diplomacy and economic development. If you would like to keep you updated on these issues, please subscribe to Developing Bangladesh. Thank you very much for watching till the last.